everyone, and thank you for joining us for our webinar, Cyber Liability Insurance Q&A, What Brokers Need to Know. My name is Richie Venner, and I'm the Chief Growth Officer at Distinguished Programs. I'm very excited to be leading the discussion today with members of our Cyber Liability Program. We pride ourselves on having the experience, flexibility, and depth of expertise to help brokers get their deals done, and this team really exemplifies that. After today's webinar, we'll send all registrants a copy of the slides, the webinar recording, and a PDF with the questions and answers from today's session. If anyone has a question during the presentation, please use the Q&A button on the bottom of your screen. And if we don't get to it live, those questions will still be answered in the follow-up materials that we'll send out. A little bit about Distinguished before we get going. We are a leading national insurance program manager with a growing number of specialized insurance programs. These include real estate, community associations, hotels, restaurants, cyber liability, fine art and collectibles, inland marine, executive lines, crisis management, surety bonds, marine cargo, transactional risk, and environmental and construction professional insurance. I'm very excited about today's session, given the increasing importance to businesses across so many industries for cyber liability. During this 30-minute session, you'll learn about the latest enhancements to our cyber liability insurance program and how these updates are essential in today's digital environment. So are you ready to grow your book of business with Distinguished? Let's get started. Joining us today are Heidi Strauman and Haley Cagle. Heidi is president of our primary hospitality programs and is well known in the industry. She oversees the overall strategy and management of our distinguished primary programs for restaurants, hotels, and cyber. Heidi joined Distinguished in April 2019 with our acquisition of ProHost USA, a program administrator specializing in restaurants, where she served as president. She has an extensive background in building programs for restaurants and related risks. She's also a past president of Target Markets Program Administrators Association and is currently on their advisory board. She's authored numerous articles about insuring restaurant exposures for various industry magazines, including Risk and Insurance, Insurance Journal, Agent and Broker, and Rough Notes. Heidi earned a BA in government from Cornell and an MBA from Metropolitan State University. Also joining us today is Haley Cagle. Haley joined Distinguished in January 2022 as our Cyber Liability Product Manager. She previously worked under a program administrator for Lloyd's of London and has been in the professional liability insurance industry as a wholesale surplus lines broker and underwriter for 14 years. She specializes in cyber, tech, and miscellaneous E&O exposures and now focuses solely on cyber. She earned her Cyber Professional Liability Practitioner designation, which she adds to her RPLU and ASLI designations. So let's jump right in. I'm going to start with you, Haley. What is cyber liability insurance?
Richie, yeah, it's good to be here. I'm so glad to be able to chat with you guys today. Big question of the day: what is cyber liability insurance? Cyber liability insurance is a type of business insurance designed to help protect organizations from the financial impact of cyber attacks, data breaches, and other cyber-related incidents. It typically combines first-party and third-party coverage, and both of these which address direct losses suffered from the business, and the third-party coverage, which helps respond to claims, lawsuits, or liabilities involving customers, vendors, or other affected parties. So coverage can also include expenses such as breach response and notification costs, public relations support, legal fees, forensic investigations, and data restoration. So more than just helping a business recover after an incident, cyber liability insurance is designed to help minimize the long-term financial, operational, and reputational consequences of a cyber event.
Wow, that's pretty broad. Hey, I'm going to stick with you for a minute. Can you discuss some of today's cyber threats that impact business?
Yes. So today's cyber threats come in many forms, and they continue to evolve every day as we have more and more technological advances. So some of the most common risks businesses face today, which I'm sure you all heard the words phishing and social engineering schemes, where cyber criminals use deceptive emails, messages, or tactics to trick employees into revealing sensitive information or transferring funds. So organizations are also increasingly vulnerable to cyber attacks that can disrupt their operations, compromise their data, and impact their business continuity. So another growing concern in this area is cyber extortion and ransomware attacks, which these terms are sometimes used interchangeably, in which attackers encrypt or steal data and demand payment in exchange for restoring access or preventing the release of sensitive information. Um, Additionally, the rise of contactless technology and digital payment systems, which we see, a lot more in the hospitality industry of these contactless payment systems. This has created even more new opportunities for cyber criminals to exploit these vulnerabilities, and it makes strong cybersecurity measures and risk management practices more important than ever.
All right, thank you, Haley. This one's for you. How risky is it for business to self-insure for cyber? I know that quite a few do that.
Yeah, you're right, Richie, and thanks again, everyone, for being here. A lot of self-insurance is occurring among a variety of businesses right now, and how risky is it? In my opinion, it's pretty crazy, and it's also unnecessary because there are very affordable and comprehensive insurance policies available to cover this exposure, and there's just really no reason to self-insure. The financial impact of a cyber incident can be significant, making cyber liability insurance an important consideration for businesses of all sizes. The average cost of a data breach globally reached $4.88 million in 2024, and that was a 10% increase from the prior year. For businesses in the hospitality industry, the average cost of a breach rose to $3.86 million, highlighting the substantial financial exposure organizations face when sensitive data is compromised. The risk is also widespread. In the past year, 90% of global organizations reported experiencing a cyber attack, demonstrating that cyber threats are no longer a matter of if, but when. The businesses that choose to self-insure these costs must be absorbed directly, including expenses related to incident response, legal defense, regulatory compliance, data recovery, and reputational damage. To be honest, brokers, and I'm talking to everybody that's out there listening in today, brokers that are representing cyber as a non-essential optional coverage when you're meeting with your clients, you're really doing a disservice. It's incumbent upon us really in this industry to help educate our clients about the exposure that they have in this area.
Thank you, Heidi. Distinguished has been really working hard to make sure that we've got a great program here. Can you tell us, Heidi, we recently introduced several enhancements to our cyber liability insurance program. Can you give us a high-level overview of what's new before we dive into the details?
Yeah. We are really excited to talk about several enhancements that make our cyber liability insurance program more accessible and efficient for brokers and their clients. We've expanded eligibility to include art galleries, museums, and contractors, building on our established appetite for hotels, restaurants, and community associations. We've also streamlined the quoting process by enabling brokers to receive instant quotes through the Broker Connect portal, making it faster and easier to secure coverage. In addition, we are updating our policy form to further strengthen the program.
Thank you, Heidi. Nothing really brings this alive than some case studies. So, Haley, can you dive into some case studies for each eligible industry and maybe share examples of cyber risks that restaurants face today to start off?
Yeah, sure. Now, I love doing the case studies. It's often the thing that kind of sells the product. When you actually hear a real world example, it really helps you understand what's going on out there. So yeah, we'll start with restaurants. So restaurants are increasingly relying on technology, particularly their point of sale systems, which can make them really attractive for cyber criminals. So a notable example occurred in 2023 when the Black Cat ransomware group breached the Aloha POS platform. And this platform is a system that's used by thousands of restaurants nationwide. The attack disrupted operations, exposed payment credentials, and this just highlights how a single cyber event can impact revenue, the customer trust, and day-to-day business functions.
Wow, kind of scary. How about some examples from the hotel industry?
Yeah, so yeah, we've got plenty examples for hotels too. So, hotels continue to be a prime target because they handle large volumes of guest and payment information. So, in 2024, Omni Hotels and Resorts experienced a cyber attack that caused a significant IT outage. It disrupted reservations, room access, and payment processing. In that same year, a breach involving the Hoteler platform exposed guest information associated with major hotel brands. Additionally, Marriott reported a social engineering incident in which hackers obtained approximately 20 gigabytes of data from a single property.
Uh, Hey, let's talk about a couple of lines where it might not be top of mind for people that this is where cyber attacks can happen, but of course we know. How do cyber threats impact museums and art galleries?
Yeah, so yeah, places where you wouldn't even really expect it. So yeah, museums and art galleries, they depend on digital systems to manage collections, exhibits, and donor information and their day-to-day operations. So in 2023, a ransomware attack on gallery system disrupted the eMuseum platform. This affected online access to collections and internal systems at institutions across the country. And that same year, Walters Art Museum experienced a data breach that exposed sensitive personal and health-related information.
Wow. How about cyber risks for community associations that we should be aware of?
Yeah, so yeah, community associations, just like the other, they're increasingly being targeted by the financial fraud and social engineering schemes. A real life example for community associations, it happened in Florida, and this was a condominium association where fraudsters used a spoofed email to redirect a $105,000 payment into their own account. Incidents like this really, just they demonstrate how a seemingly simple email can result in a substantial financial loss and operational challenges for associations and their management teams.
Wow. Haley, I'm sure we could probably do this all day. I'm just going to ask you one more before we dive into the details of the program. Cyber risk isn't always the first thing people think about with contractors. Why is it important to this industry?
Yeah. So yeah, according to the 2024 construction cybersecurity report, more than 70% of contracting firms have been impacted by cyber attacks. So, contractors, they rely really heavily on their digital systems for project management, accounting, vendor payments, payroll, and their communications. So, a real life example for contractors, another example of a spoofed email here. They had a spoofed email request that appeared to come from a legitimate vendor, and it resulted in another six-figure payment being sent to a fraudulent account. So, I mean, incidents like this demonstrate how, just seemingly, routine email exchange can lead to significant financial losses, project delays, and operational disruptions.
Wow. Those are great examples, Haley. Here, I'm going to give you a moment to catch your breath. That was a lot of things. Heidi, one of the enhancements you mentioned was a new policy form. What are some of the key enhancements brokers should know about?
Yeah, we're very excited to be introducing this new policy form in the next month or so. We're updating our policy form to the latest Beasley Breach Response 5.0 form, which includes several new coverages and enhancements that reflect how cyber risks continue to evolve. Some of the new insuring agreements include computer bricking loss, which helps cover the cost of replacing computers that become unusable due to a software or firmware corruption, and reputation loss, which can help cover lost income when a cyber event leads to negative media attention and impacts a business's revenue. We've also added invoice manipulation coverage for situations involving fraudulent invoices or payment instructions, and cryptojacking coverage for unauthorized use of computer systems to mine cryptocurrency, and proof of loss expenses coverage, which can help insureds bring in outside experts to document and support a claim. So I hope everybody was taking notes there because that's a lot of extra coverages. Good thing we're sending the slides out afterwards. Yes. There are also some important enhancements to existing coverages. For example, our cyber extortion loss coverage now gives policyholders more flexibility when responding to a ransomware event. And it specifically covers the cost of consulting with legal counsel to determine whether a ransom payment can be made in compliance with applicable laws. We've also clarified our subsidiary coverage wording so that if a subsidiary is sold during the policy period, coverage continues to apply to covered incidents that occurred before the sale.
Thank you, Heidi. You know, it's funny when you're talking through that. Insurance is so well known for obscure terms, but the computer bricking loss, that's very good.
Yeah, right? I know. All you need is some mortar and, you know, so.
Haley, I'm going to go back to you. What's one of our important features, the ability for brokers to get an instant quote? How can they do that?
Yeah, so we are so excited to, let everybody know. I'm sure you guys have gotten lots of emails last couple of months. We've released the cyber on our broker portal. So now you can log on to our broker portal, get an instant quote. So, I mean, you can get online, submit, receive your quote all in one place and, at your own time. So, the broker portal also allows brokers to upload, supporting documents. You can upload your loss runs, all for quicker underwriting review. And once a quote is ready, you can even request a bond on the platform. So the broker portal makes ongoing policy management easier. Just allows users to electronically sign applications and submit endorsement requests online. So what we're really looking to do is just help make the process easier and faster for everybody.
Thanks, Haley. Heidi, let's dig in a little bit deeper. What are the coverages that our cyber liability program offers?
Yeah, some of these we've already touched on, but our coverage includes breach response costs, such as customer notifications and access to legal, forensic, public relations, and crisis management services following a cyber event. And I just want to add here that I think one area that's sometimes underestimated in terms of what it can cost someone who has decided to self-insure, perhaps someone who has bought an inferior policy, is the cost associated with these notifications and compliance requirements that, even if there was no actual damage done to your customers, you still have to follow all of these rules. And to do that as a business owner on your own can be quite overwhelming. We're very proud of the breach response coverages that are included in our program, and we feel that it's really industry leading. The policy also provides protection for cyber extortion and ransomware related expenses, as well as business interruption losses. The program includes data and network liability coverage, regulatory defense costs and penalties, and payment card liability and associated expenses. Businesses are also protected against media liability exposures and certain types of fraud, including funds transfer fraud, telephone fraud, and fraudulent instruction schemes. The policy includes a criminal reward benefit, which can help support efforts to identify and apprehend those responsible for a cybercrime.
Wow, that's quite a comprehensive list. But just as important as what a program covers is what it doesn't. What doesn't Distinguished Cyber Liability Insurance Program cover?
While our program is designed to provide broad protection, there are some important limitations, and many of these are common in the marketplace. The policy does not cover cyber attacks carried out by nation states or terrorist groups, which are typically excluded under standard cyber coverage. It also does not cover post-breach upgrades or system improvements, meaning costs to enhance or modernize systems after an incident wouldn't be included. The program does not respond to losses related to intellectual property theft, such as the loss of proprietary ideas or trade secrets. It also excludes long-term reputational damage or projected future income loss, which can be difficult to quantify and directly attribute to a specific cyber event. The policy remains focused on providing strong financial protection for the immediate and direct impacts of a covered cyber incident.
Thank you, Heidi. Haley, I'm going to ask you probably the number one question that we get a lot of times. How much does cyber liability insurance cost?
Yes, so yeah, that's the big question, and it can vary, so much by industry to industry, what they're looking at here. So let's just go into it a little deeper. The cost of cyber liability insurance, it varies a lot. It depends on the risk profile of the business, And we're really looking at several key factors when we're determining pricing. So some of the biggest factors include the size, obviously, how much revenues they're taking in, because larger organizations really do have, they have a big data exposure, and due to their operational complexity as well. So the industry risk profile also plays a major role. Some sectors are facing much higher cyber threat activities than others. And pricing is also influenced by a company's network security protocols, and their overall cyber hygiene, as well as the history of cyber claims or if they've had any prior incidents. Um, and then, depending on what limits and deductibles you take, that also affects the cost. Higher limits, generally lead to higher premiums, obviously. So yeah, and finally, underwriters consider the type of data a business stores. So, are you storing credit card information, social security numbers? Are you storing sensitive personal data? So, the more sensitive the data, the greater the potential exposure, and all that can affect pricing.
Okay, that all makes sense. Haley, can we write in all states?
Yes, so for the cyber program, we are available in all 50 states.
Awesome. Okay. And Heidi, who is our carrier partner?
Our carrier partner is Beasley, a leader in cyber coverage, really recognized worldwide as a leader in cyber coverage. And it should also be noted that we offer a proprietary rating structure that is available exclusively for distinguished clients.
Okay, thank you, Heidi. Haley, here's another question that we get different flavors of. What can we do to help brokers successfully sell cyber liability to clients?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I hear that one all the time. A lot of people aren't, super familiar with cyber coverage. So I think one of the most effective ways is to start by highlighting the average cost of the data breach, which, Heidi kind of touched on earlier. Once they see, the actual process they've got to go through, that what an average data breach actually costs, it helps them, understand it more readily, that the financial exposure they're facing. And then from there, I mean, it's important to walk through what actually happens during this. So, you've got notification requirements, forensic investigations, legal response, reputational management. Many businesses underestimate how complex and costly these steps can be in real time. And a lot of these businesses, they don't have the staff to be able to do this on their own. So lastly, using real life cyber examples, which I talked about a little bit earlier. It helps really bring the conversation to life. So when clients see how similar businesses have been disrupted or financially impacted, it becomes really much easier for them to understand why cyber liability coverage isn't optional. Nowadays, it really is just a critical part of their overall risk management strategy.
Okay, thank you, Haley. Heidi, here's another one that we get a lot, which is why should brokers choose Distinguished Cyber Liability Program?
Well, first of all, I think we've emphasized in this presentation that we've made it easy to get a quick quote. Our investment in the Broker Connect portal cyber product has really been designed to ease brokers through that process. Doesn't take up much of your time, and most submissions will receive an instant quote if you use the portal. Second, our program offers strong first and third party coverage, addressing both direct financial losses from a cyber event and liability claims that may follow. It also includes media liability protection, which helps address risks tied to digital content, online communications, and reputational exposure. The program provides higher limits than many of our competitors. We offer up to $5 million, depending on the class, along with cyber extortion coverage to help protect against ransomware and other extortion threats. In addition, notification expenses are covered outside of the liability limits, an important coverage note. It helps to ensure clients have access to necessary resources without eroding their core coverage. One of the key differentiators is access to that 24/7 crisis response support that we've been talking about, giving insureds immediate help from experts who can assist with containment, recovery, and next steps after an incident. Finally, the program is designed to fit seamlessly alongside other distinguished program offerings, making it a strong option for industries like art galleries, museums, hotels, restaurants, community associations, and contractors.
Okay, thank you. Haley, and this isn't the last question, but just in case people start logging off early, who should a broker contact if they have additional questions, and how should they contact?
Yeah, if you have additional questions, you can feel free to reach out to me. I'm definitely here to assist. You can, we've got the contact information posted right there. You can reach out to me by email or telephone. We also have a general cyber inbox you can reach out to right there at the cyber@distinguished.com. So yeah, I mean, you can reach out to us there, and we're definitely happy to help you. If you have any questions on how to, get started on the broker portal, I'm also happy to help you there too. Or if you just have any general cyber questions, yeah, feel free to contact me.
Okay, great. Thank you, Haley. All right, we also got some questions that were sent in ahead of time in response to our emails inviting people. And so I just want to make sure that we cover those because quite a few came in that I kind of grouped together. So if this isn't the exact question someone asked, it's really just a bunch of them amalgamated together. Do small businesses really need cyber liability insurance? Maybe Heidi, if you could take us through that.
Yeah, absolutely is the answer to that question. Small businesses need cyber coverage. Cyber criminals don't distinguish between large corporations and small businesses. In many cases, small businesses are actually seen as easier targets because they have fewer cybersecurity resources or fewer formal protections in place. And we should also realize that it's more difficult for a small business to absorb the costs associated with responding to a cyber attack that we've been discussing here today. And you can make a very strong case as a broker that your small business clients should be carrying cyber.
Great, thank you. And we've kind of answered this one, but I just want to put an exclamation point behind it since so many people asked. How do I submit business?
Yeah, so you can get instant quote through our Broker Connect portal. So if you're new to Distinguished, feel free to reach out to me. I would be happy to help you get set up on that Broker Connect portal. I can help you with your application. Whatever you really need to help you get started. So that's how we're submitting cyber business right now is through that Broker Connect portal. So you have to be registered with Distinguished to get started there. So, I mean, and if you have any questions throughout the way, or you need help even just getting access to the broker portal, yeah, just feel free to reach out to us.
Okay, great. We've got a few questions coming in, but I also see that we're running out of time, and we always try to keep these strictly to half an hour, so everyone's time is so busy. But to the ones that have come in through the Q&A section, we'll absolutely get the answers to your questions out to you, and if it's not too personal, we'll put that question into the PDF that we're going to send out to everybody so everyone can see the answers to that. So it does look like we're running out of time. As I just mentioned, we'll send all registrants a copy of the slides, the webinar recording, and a PDF with the questions and answers from today's session, including the questions that were submitted in the chat during the webinar. And of course, you should always feel free to reach out directly to Heidi and Haley. If you enjoyed today's webinar, stay up to date on our latest events by following us on social media. We post about the insurance market insights and industry news, and you'll learn about our latest free webinars, ebooks, and case studies. And also don't miss next week's webinar, which should be a very interesting webinar, one that we've never had one on before, which is a Q&A on our new crisis management insurance program, a specialized coverage designed to address the exposures tied to political violence and active assailant events. The registration page can be found on our LinkedIn under events. So I'd like to thank everyone who joined us today for the webinar, and to our panelists, Heidi Strauman and Haley Cagle, for sharing their valuable insights.
Thanks, Richie.
Yeah. Thank you, Heidi.
Yeah, thanks, Richie. Yeah, it was great to be here and share some cyber information with you guys.
No, it was awesome. I always learn something new when we do these things. To the audience, we hope you found this information helpful and that you now have a clear understanding of the latest enhancements in our cyber liability program, giving you the tools to better support your clients. Remember, our underwriters will be available to answer any follow-up questions you may have. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you at the next webinar. Bye, everybody.
Have a great day.
Bye. Thank you.